say like it was around that peak. And I was telling Robert that I don't understand it. It's as volatile to me as the stock market. So you really have to play the same kind of game as the stock market. And so I'm not understanding where's this benefit? Where, as you know, if I were an investor looking to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I don't think Bitcoin itself as a currency. It's not something that I would go out and spend it. There's just too many problems with the volatility. There's actually very slow transaction speeds. For me, what I look at is the technology itself, how that can be applied to other use cases in the world, which we'll go into, I'm sure, later. And that is where I look. So I don't actually have that much Bitcoin. I actually look at Ethereum. I look at the decentralized finance projects of where Ethereum's going. And there's a lot of startups that are trying to scale blockchain technology as well that I look into also. So as an investor in Bitcoin, I would just put that as a diversification piece. I wouldn't say that's like something to go all in, that I'm going to use it to spend as a global currency. That's not the case.
So you wouldn't invest in it because it's going to go to 100,000?
I do not think it's going to go to 100,000.
I understand that, but you wouldn't use that logic.
No,
that's what people do.
Logic.
Yeah, but it's.
So this lady called in on the show and asked him, like, what is the benefits of Bitcoin? Because she don't see no difference between Bitcoins, investing in Bitcoin, and investing in the stock market. And what he just said is that he really not even invested in the Bitcoin currency wise. He just invested in the technology because he knows personally that that's where we headed. He knows that digital currency is going to be any day now. So why not invest in something ahead of time to get a bigger payout or bigger profit? That's what it is, to get a bigger profit in return. So he not even really investing in Bitcoin as currency. He just invested in it for a profit back because he know that with this technology is going to be the future, and he knows that. And you can just tell by his whole body language. That's why he laughed. Like, you know, we'll get to the rest of the ins and outs later, you know, because he knows. So somebody that pretty sure he got millions invested in Bitcoin, but not actually currency wise, just the technology. So once they start using this technology on different platforms, he can get a profit from it. So he not even. So all the people that's investing in Bitcoin, y'all just paying this guy. Y'all just paying this guy and millions of people like him. Well, not millions of people. It's only probably a few people, a handful of people that runs this technology. So y'all paying them, like y'all actually funding them so they can produce more digital currency or apps that has digital currency. So somebody that's investing in Bitcoin tells you that he not even investing in Bitcoin for the money as far as digital currency. He just invested in it, the technology of it. But let's keep going.
People do that with silver and gold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are, you know, like they're calling for $50,000 gold and $20,000 silver. And that sucks a lot of people in.
Yep.
So what would you say to that? So somebody says Bitcoin's going to 100,000. Why would you say that's a bad idea, or you wouldn't touch it?
I can give a few data points as to what happens with the other countries that have currency crashes. They actually fled to Bitcoin as a safe haven because it's one way to get out, right? You could buy Bitcoin, it holds its currency against a USD, and then if their currency goes hyperinflation, they still have some digital asset that can be traded. Although again, it's just on a USB drive or it's on a piece of paper, but at least they can fled to that as a safe haven. With gold and silver, it's actually kind of hard to trade it for some people globally. With Bitcoin, it's 24/7. You can trade it whenever you want. So that's where I say is kind of the difference between gold and silver. In terms of what is backing Bitcoin, mainly it's kind of the trading volume and then the entrance. It's a fiat gateway into other cryptocurrencies.
So I'll let you take over from here because you guys are way over my.
We're going to go to the next example.
It's just a auditable piece of code that we can send money to. And let's say you're paying me salary, $100 a week for whatever, just be on the phone to call you. So you can just put in $10,000 in this smart contract and it'll automatically pay me. There'll be no bank in between. There's nothing in between at all. me and you could just operate on this small little piece of code that does any mainstream thing. So people took that concept and they built entire applications on it. So entire applications that can do almost anything. It's a little bit slow right now, so it's not shown any real value in the world yet, but the advancements of Ethereum 2.0, which are coming later this year, are trying to remedy that problem.
Okay. So when we come back, we'll let Jeff continue on to talk about what he knows about, so he's not like me, just sitting around trying to make a few bucks here. So Jeff, my concern as an old guy is what's to prevent everybody from just coming out with their own crypto? Like, what's this? Facebook has that. What do they have now?
Libra.
What the hell is that?
So it might help to kind of talk about the advancements of cryptocurrency through the years. 2017, 2018, when we saw the heights of the bubble, we saw it was like a year of speculation. People thought this technology would change the world, but no one really knew why. So all these startups came up to fruition. They had initial coin offerings, ICOs. People had this value creation from thin air, from just ideas, from just white paper, right? But money did fly into the ecosystem. A lot of smart people were in there making these startups. And then 2019 hit, we kind of figured out, well, is there a product market fit? Nobody is really going to use this if it comes out, right? So a lot of money then came out of crypto. So right now, there's the only form of investing in crypto right now that's popular is the initial exchange offering, the IEO. And those are still very profitable, and that's stuff we talk about in the newsletter. But right now is a globalization on this technology. Just this year, the World Economic Forum published the CBDC framework. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. So it actually is teaching all these countries how to make their own cryptocurrencies.
CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. You say they already have an outline or a template or an idea what they want to do. I told y'all they coming out with this digital currency any moment now.
China has been ahead of the curve the whole time. They are coming out with theirs this year, very likely. They already have a pilot out. Theirs is called DECP, Digital Currency Electronic Payment, DCEP. So I know you wanted to say something. I'll pause there.
I think that the internet is going to be one of the major forces for reducing the role of government. And the one thing that's missing, but that will soon be developed, is a reliable e-cash, a method whereby on the internet you can transfer funds from A to B without A knowing B or B knowing A.
But I think the question is whether central banks around the country, around the world rather, at some point may say, you know what, we're not doing it this way, or may seek to effectively crowd out a Bitcoin, if you will, by making their own currencies digital, and what you think that does for the value of something like a Bitcoin, and then, of course, all of the customers who seem to be on PayPal now using it to buy up Bitcoins.
Yeah. Well, I do think as paper money slowly dissipates and disappears from how people are.
Let me play that back just in case y'all missed it.
Bitcoins.
Yeah. Well, I do think as paper money slowly dissipates and disappears from how people are using.
Money will slowly disappear, but you got to check the body language too. Like why can't you hold eye contact? Or I mean, you're doing it fine right now. That's because they know they're gonna ban cash. They know cash is gonna be banned.
Bitcoin, and then of course all of the customers who seem to be on PayPal now using it to buy up Bitcoins.
Yeah. Well, I do think as paper money slowly dissipates and disappears from how people are using transactions, central banks, especially on the retail side, will need to replace paper money with forms of digital fiat.
Need to have a central bank digital currency. And
on the retail side, will need to replace.
One time they say these banks will have to replace paper money with digital.
Paper money with forms of digital fiat.
Need to have
I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not making this stuff up at all. This video I said is 100% true. Everything I said in the video is 100% true. I ain't make nothing up. This is another example. Let's keep going. Now, this guy is actually the chairman or the CEO of Canada's Bank of
central
Canada.
bank digital currency. And, where we are in that process, I think, is similar place to many other central banks, which is thinking that, well, there's not really a compelling case for a central bank digital currency under current circumstances, but that the world is changing very rapidly. And we can certainly see circumstances where a central bank digital currency could be a desirable addition to the array of products available for payments. And I guess the key thing there is that the world is changing so quickly that if we want to have something that's actually viable and could.
And I just want y'all to pay attention. Like I said, body language is everything. I just want y'all to pay attention to his face and how he stuttered. Now I know some of y'all might say, well, he probably just have a stutter. And it's probably true. You probably do got a stutter problem. But once you nervous and you're trying to think of something to beat around the bush, you can tell that he stutters more. Like when you lying or when you're trying to beat around the bush or think of something and not really tell the whole truth, or you nervous, he starts stuttering more. Like you can peep that. Like I peeped that. I just want y'all to peep that.
Could be launched in a suitable time frame. We need to be moving pretty quickly and deliberately to develop something. And so we've actually been exploring not just the sort of theoretical question of, well, would it be a good thing, but actually exploring the specifics of, well, exactly how would it be designed? What would it look like? How would we organize the provision? Now, of course, if we were to issue a central bank digital currency, then there are a number of important risks that would have to be dealt with as well. And one of them is that
I swear this guy is too telling. Like, why would you smile? Why you gotta smile that hard when you mention digital currency? If we was to come up with it, you are. Like, you are.
The provision. Now, of course, if we were to issue a central bank digital currency, then there are a number of important risks that would have to be dealt with as well. And one of them is that central bank digital currency like cash would be a safe asset.
See, y'all peeped that. He was thinking. He was trying to find the right words, and then he stuttered hard. Like I know he probably do got a stuttering problem, but it magnifies when you're nervous.
Risks that would have to be dealt with as well. And one of them is that. One of them is that central bank digital currency like cash would be a safe asset, but of course there is such a thing as a flight to safety, which we see in financial crises, and so you wouldn't want to have a situation where those flights to safety become that much more frequent and more and more rapid, and so there's a question of, well, sort of how do you manage that risk? And is it manageable with a central bank digital currency? A second one is really around privacy and the fact that we know that cash is attractive to people partly because it's private, but we know there's a dark side to that as well. And so, of course, no central bank would.
It's a dark side of everything.
Want to or would indeed be allowed to issue a digital currency that would then provide a seamless and infinitely scalable means of money laundering, terrorist financing, and all those bad things. And so you have to think about, well, could you design a technology that would actually combine a suitable degree of privacy with some safeguards against all those illicit and abusive transactions. So these are something looking at something that the public would want to use, and that would have
How you looking at something the public want to use, and I never heard this information before until I looked it up on my own. Like, y'all not telling us nothing.
Mentioned one of the aspects of central bank digital currency is the financial inclusion aspect, the sense that if cash disappears from acceptability, there are people who will be excluded from the whole.
That's another one. When cash be excluded from acceptability, like he said that cash will be banned so many times in so many words, riddles, hints. Like, y'all gotta really dissect this shit.
Financial inclusion aspect, the sense that if cash disappears from acceptability, there are people who will be.
And you gotta check the smile. One more time, just check the smile. I'm telling y'all, body language is everything.
Is the sort of financial inclusion aspect, the sense that that if cash disappears from acceptability, they're excluded from the whole economy, and and you have to really talk to representatives of.
Some people will be excluded from the whole economy. I'm telling y'all, nothing in that video I said was a lie or a stretch. But we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going. Now this one again, this another one. Watch the body language.
This effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the traditional banking system?
I see that. Hold on.
Well, I think it's.
Hold on. Yeah, it's just something about Bitcoin that just make these people so nervous. Just watch it.
Cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting into this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the traditional banking system?
So she's about to cross her arms and uncross them. She's uncomfortable. She's uncomfortable.
Well, I think it's, you have incumbents, the banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think that the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto assets, currencies or whatever, and it's far from the bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system. The voice that we heard, which was, I thought, really interesting, were those of the regulators and central bank governors who said, well, yes, this is good and this is helpful, and it is changing the business model of commercial banks. But we have to be mindful of two things: trust and stability of the system. And we are equally concerned, we at the IMF, about stability. We don't want innovation that would shake the system so much that we would lose the stability that is needed.
And are regulators doing enough right now to ensure that stability and as well competition from some of these big tech companies being involved in this space?
You know, I think they're mindful of wherever the competition is coming from. The central bank governor of Kenya was explaining to us that they gave a banking license to a telecom company. And I think in the future, we have to look at what lots of data collectors and movers are going to do, and whether they're going to move into the banking space forcefully, in which case they will have to be regulated. They will have to be held accountable so that they can be fully trusted.
Madam Lagarde, I know you have a tight schedule. Thank you for joining.
That's enough for her. I just want y'all to watch her body language. All these people body language. It's like they're being coerced what to say. And you can tell she was in and out of what to say. Like she kind of forgot her lines and then remember them, like these people, boy. But we're gonna keep going to the next example. Bill Gates. Let's see what he got to say.
What is the role that you see the private sector playing in being able to collaborate with different governments to ensure that we move forward?
Well, once you have the digital money system, then there's all sorts of services and applications that can be built on top of that, whether it's helping with health or education or agriculture, giving people visibility into their financial status, giving them advice, should they take a loan, should they buy insurance, what makes sense. The phone becomes a connection for low cost interaction with those customers that doesn't require human activity that would be.
I like how you say low cost. First of all, you probably got billions of dollars. So what is a low cost to you? Second of all, how you know if it's even a low cost if y'all supposed to be still just working on it? He knows. This guy knows what's going on. He invested in all that shit. He knows.
Beyond the means of the people we're trying to get to who don't yet have these accounts. So the digital revolution, which of course was where I worked before moving full-time to the foundation, here we're trying to make sure that the developing countries have the benefit of the digital revolution. In some cases before.
That's what he calling the digital revolution.
They'll transition out of them, won't be as fast as, say, China or India that didn't have that history. And so it's really learning what worked in China and India, and now making it easy for even smaller countries to do this, working with a lot of partners, including the World Bank, African Development Bank, many of them. So private sector will help these central banks create these systems, but moreover, the phone companies, the banks, and the entrepreneurs will build applications that use these financial capabilities.
That can't be right. The data has to be wrong.
Excuse me, Miss Moreau.
Yes, what is it?
Your partner asked me to give you this halfway through the flight. They also asked me to tell you it's time to wake up.
I'm sorry. What's that supposed to mean?
I have no idea. Would you like me to get you another drink?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I just don't understand it. In theory, we're doing everything right, and yet maybe if we were to merge again. Flagship office in Tokyo.
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
I'm sorry, who are you?
My name is Entity. I'm an artificial intelligence system. I bring you a message from the future.
What message?
Ruth, if you don't radically change the way you do things, your bank will disappear in 7 years and 120 days.
I'm sorry, that can't be right. You can't be telling the truth.
I have not been programmed to lie. I have been programmed to reveal the awakening of the banking industry to you.
Now we're going to move on to having a cashless society. Let's see what these people have to say.
Say the practice is a form of discrimination toward those who don't have a bank account or line of credit.
If you're one of the 40% or more of American families who are living paycheck to paycheck, it's not so easy to just leave a little bit of money in this app and a little bit of money in that app and a little on this card and a little on that. So cash provides flexibility that a lot of these other electronic cards don't. In addition, cash is relatively free, right? People say, people just apply to credit cards. Well, look, the majority of Americans have subprime credit ratings. Cards are expensive. Debit cards, yes, they offer access to your bank account. Go over the limit, $35 in overdraft. That's extremely expensive, and that's a cost borne only by people who are running out of money at the end of the month waiting for their next paycheck.
The Pew Research Center found that lower-income Americans are about 4 times as likely as higher-income Americans to say they make all or almost all of their purchases using cash. Transitioning to a cashless world would also mean that 25% of households in the U.S. who are either underbanked or unbanked might not get access to the goods they need.
There is a significant...
One more time, I'm telling you, I'm not lying. Listen to what this girl said again. Listen, just listen. I don't know if y'all listen.
To a cashless world would also mean that 25% of households in the U.S. who are either underbanked or unbanked might not get access to the goods they need.
There is a...
Might not get access to the goods they need. My bad, y'all. might not get access to the goods they need. So right there, they're telling you it's gonna be more homeless people. People gonna be more in debt. Like, people gonna be more without money. I just keep going.
Significant correlation between use of cash, prepaid, debit, high-end credit, and wealth. And there's a huge correlation between wealth and race.
Facts, like I told you, this guy don't be playing. Listen one more time.
Significant correlation between use of cash, prepaid, debit, high-end credit, and wealth. And there's a huge correlation between wealth and race.
This is where I'm of two minds when it comes to going cashless, because the social justice part of me says, hey, we should be carrying cash because it is discriminating against a lot of lower income folks, lower socioeconomic folks, and just also those small business owners who are in need of that cash. And even using credit cards was already a problem because it gets charged and they get less of that.
17% of African American and 14% of Hispanic households reported having no bank accounts, compared to 3% of white households, according to the FDIC.
Adding insult to injury, our tax code.
Now I'm just going with the statistics, right, on this one, because you got to. Who's at the top? Black. Who's next? Hispanics. What the hell is other? That was just random. But back to the blacks and the Hispanics. So once they switch over to this digital currency, guess who's gonna be fucked out of money? Okay, y'all got it.
Households reported having no bank accounts, compared to 3% of white households, according to the FDIC.
Adding insult to injury, our tax code gives tax breaks to the wealthy who get their credit card rebates. In cold hard cash, 2% cash back at the register, that's untaxed.
Off Bitcoin, off digital currency, off that now. Now we're going to go into the digital wallet.
Before I was in public life, I was a tech entrepreneur. I really got to see firsthand how technology can improve efficiencies, improve the customer experience, and that's what we're trying to apply to make government more efficient. A lot of people now do everything in life on their phone, right? And they're buying things with the digital wallet. It's what people, and particularly young people, but people of all ages, use for really every type of life. And yet there's still kind of this obsolete legacy of having to carry a bunch of plastic around, right? And even if you're able to ditch your credit cards because you're using a digital wallet, you still have to carry your driver's license. And that usually necessitates carrying a whole wallet. There's been times where I've tried to just have a driver's license, but then sometimes it gets left in your pocket and goes through the wash because you don't have the whole wallet there. And so you wind up carrying.
One thing, watch this lady in the back. Like, I just really want to know, what is she so excited about?
And all these other things along with it too. Also, it's a safety risk to carry these because there's something called pickpockets around, as you know. I've had credit cards stolen.
That wasn't even funny. Like, how? Like, that wasn't funny.
Luckily, never had my actual wallet stolen, mostly because I put a little tip. You put it in your side pocket instead of the back pocket. Pickpockets have the easiest time in the back pockets. The deep side pockets are a little better. But we hope to end pickpockets in Colorado, reduce theft, and increase convenience by continuing our work on the Colorado Digital ID and My Colorado app. So,
My bad, correction, Colorado ID, which they keep talking about they trying to end theft and end pickpocket, right? Okay, so if you don't have your wallet on you, they can still take your phone. All your stuff would be on your phone, your ID, the money, all that shit. So I don't understand, like, it's not going to reduce theft at all.
Colorado is the state of Colorado's mobile app. It is a gateway to an increasing number of state services. The new announcement today, and by the way, those services are very important. It's everything from registering to vote to securing your information, getting state updates, information on roads, all those kinds of things that you need to interact with the state. Please download the My Colorado app. But the key thing, what we from the tech side call the killer app of it, is that we are moving towards allowing this to replace your plastic ID. So today we're announcing an executive order that adds a feature to My Colorado app, and that's the Colorado Digital ID. This allows a electronic version of your Colorado driver's license or state identification card. It's secure, unique visual representation of what has been traditionally legally accepted in physical format to verify who you are. It can be displayed on your smartphone for all the types of occasions that people might need to display an ID. That might mean to show your age, to buy cigarettes or get into a bar, to show your address. And we're moving towards making sure that that is available for all those purposes. It has even more advanced security features than the plastic card, which, as you know, or if you talk to any 19-year-old, they'll tell you there have been forgeries of those. This has even more security features than that plastic card. It includes advanced security features, a free-floating hologram image that moves when the digital ID is rotated, the ability to press the ID and enlarge the text, and a barcode that can be scanned the same as a physical ID that will fit into some of the uses that have that, like law enforcement. This will evolve over time as national standards are identified and adopted to allow for interstate usage and make it compliant with federal real ID. So again, keep in mind there's some things with IDs that are not within the control of the state. So there's an indefinite time period till it's approved for instance, use for TSA at the airport. That's under the control of the federal government. We had initial conversations with them. I did at National Governors Association. They absolutely are moving in this direction. We just don't know when, and we'll certainly make the announcement when, along with TSA, we don't know when it'll be valid for federal purposes. So anything we're talking about here is not valid for federal purposes, but is valid for all of those state purposes that you show your ID for.
That's enough of that. That's enough of that video. I just wanted y'all to show y'all I wasn't lying. The proof is right there. They coming up with digital IDs. Colorado already got theirs. He just said that it's not federal yet, but they're moving that direction. So that means everybody gonna have digital IDs. They trying to have everybody have digital IDs. Like, that's the proof right there. Well, the next subject, we're gonna keep going. These last two.
Access to
much of what he needs to get.
Ever. Future version releases are planned that will ultimately allow the use of the digital ID outside the state of Colorado, as well as provide access to.
Now this right here, I didn't even mention these in the video. These just bonuses, they're just something I wanted to throw in there. So let's get to the video.
Much of what he needs to get through the day is hidden right there, just below the surface, in his hand.
You like to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, weird. Yeah, it's like a grain of rice.
Yeah, a grain of rice.
Embedded in his hand is a microchip that serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Yeah, it's all on chip. So I use it to get around the building.
Buy snacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's buy some snacks. Exactly. So I can't open it.
No.
Okay.
So what I need to do is I need to first blip my chip, and it will log me in, and from there I get access to the fridge.
Popular TV shows like Black Mirror have imagined chips as part of a dystopian future.
Install ingrained procedure with local anesthetic and you're good to go.
In Sweden, the microchips are already here.
The microchip implants use the same technology that's in contactless credit cards,
which have made cash pretty much obsolete in Sweden.
No cash.
At this tech fair, a chipping event for those on the cutting edge, merging their hands with this new technology.
I thought it would be fun, right?
The process is simple and swift. A pinch of the...
I ain't gonna lie, y'all, it's so hard for me to even watch stuff like this. I know y'all can't see me, but I'm just shaking my head like, who would want to do this?
skin, and in a matter of seconds, the chip is inserted. The transformation is complete. As for the pain,
I barely felt it.
but even in this nation of early adopters, not everyone is racing to get chipped.
Feel less human. I will feel like a robot.
I think, so much more data can go into this, when it's
They're not lying.
in your body.
There's no central registry tracking how many people are chipped, but biohacker Hannes Wellblood estimates between 5 and 10,000.
In the future, do you think everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Watch the words people choose. Now I'm just gonna go back. I'm gonna see if y'all catch it.
Everyone is going to be chipped?
I think it'll be voluntary, but I am certainly convinced that millions of people will find it very, very valuable to have a smart.
She said, you think in the future everyone will be chipped or something like that. I might be phrasing it wrong. He starts off with, I think it's going to be voluntary. Why do you think it's going to be voluntary? Like this stuff, shit like this should already be voluntary, period. So why do you think it's going to be voluntary? He couldn't just say, yeah, it'll be voluntary. He had to say, I think it's going to be voluntary, because he couldn't lie. Like some people subconsciously couldn't lie. Like he couldn't just say it's going to be voluntary, because to him, he would feel like a liar. And so you gotta be observing people. You gotta watch the body language and the word they choose. So he didn't want to lie. Technically, he's not lying if he say, I think it's gonna be voluntary.
Human microchipping may be our future, but in Sweden, it's already reality. Sarah Harm.
Even her, even the announcer voice. Why did you have to high pitch maybe? Like, listen to the tone of her voice. All the tones of the other words was the same until she got to maybe.
Valuable to have a smart device under their skin.
Human microchipping may be our future.
See? Let's keep going.
But in Sweden, it's already reality. Sarah Harmon, NBC.
And just because it's in Sweden now, don't think it won't come our way if they're not already developing it.
Today at exactly 14:02, a cyber threat organization carried out a major attack on one of the leading banks in Asia. Millions of exabytes with financial data are reported to have been stolen. Excuse me. News are just coming in. The malware seems to be spreading. A further 86 banks are believed to be affected. The attack is spreading all over the world.
That could never happen. But it will, Ruth. The entire financial world will be put to the test on that day. But in the end, it will serve to reinforce it. Ultimately, companies will understand that cybersecurity is everything. The bank must become the definitive keeper. Look at this commercial, which came out a few months after the cyber crack.
When the time comes, all your passwords are stored in a single place and protected by blockchain technology, because your transactions encrypt to assets deserve to be safer.
So, cryptocurrency does have a future then? Of course, Ruth. But when we talk about crypto assets, we are talking about much more than just cryptocurrency. There are other financial assets to consider, such as smart contracts or crypto properties. Taking advantage of the new data management options, many companies will develop their own currency. And although the input and output will continue to be in dollars, euros, or yens, most microtransactions will be in crypto.
I know y'all can't see me, but I really got chills. Like, just watching this shit just give me a weird vibe.
Cryptocurrency. All this will affect the prices of goods and services, accounting and taxes, as well as payment systems and transactions. The revolution will be complete.
But this can't be right. It's much too radical. I know the men and women in the financial world, and they'd never dare to let this happen.
You are right. But what if your business organization were obsolete? What you are seeing here is the result of the change in legalization of PSD2, PS3, PSD4, and others. With the launch of open banking, thousands of startups, crowdfunding foundations, and fintechs will finally gain access to the financial market. And nothing will be the same again.
But this is what terrifies me the most.
How can you defeat them, Ruth? How can you stop a torrent of creativity that has nothing to lose and everything to gain?
That's the question. How?
I'm not saying nothing because I just want y'all to listen and cipher and then comment what y'all think. That's why I'm not saying nothing about this video.
Well, if you can't beat them, join them. Open banking will involve the transformation of most of the world's banks. If you want yours to survive, you must become a factory of digital assets.
So we can help facilitate the innovation.
Banks will become more open and flexible structures. Through these horizontal organizations, the most brilliant minds in the world will unite to develop and improve stock market services and applications.
It makes complete sense, Entity. If we could leverage all of this energy and make the shift work in our favor, I think we can help make this happen. I know what I need to do.
Then, my mission is done. Good luck saving your company.
It's just crazy, right? It's crazy, right? This is our future. This is where we headed. I'm letting y'all know. I'm telling y'all now. I said it. This is where we headed. This is our future to come. But wait, I'm not done. I got another extra bonus one for y'all.
Public health officials warned that when a coronavirus vaccine is ready, the next hurdle is how to get that vaccine out to the public quickly and in massive numbers. Joining me now is Jay Walker. He's the CEO of Ep.2, a company that entered into a $138 million deal with the Trump administration called Project Jumpstart. Welcome, Mr. Walker.
Glad to be here, Lori.
So what is Project Jumpstart?
Well, Project Jumpstart is an emergency and temporary program in the battle against COVID-19. It's a public-private partnership between my company, Ep.2.
Fuck is a public-private partnership? I never heard that term before. I heard terms before. This is the first time I learned about this one, so I apologize.
Systems of America and the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Defense. And its purpose is to ensure that by year end, we'll have at least 100 million doses ready to inject of a vaccine or therapeutic, assuming one is available.
How does the optional RFID chip work?
Well, each of these devices that are injection have the capacity to also have a small chip. What that chip does is it has the unique serial number for each dose. It is designed so that there is no counterfeiting. It's designed so that we'll know exactly that the right dose hasn't expired. However, that chip only refers to the dose. There's no personal information, no patient information. It's simply like a barcode, only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know.
He said it's simply like a barcode. Why do I need a barcode in my body?
Information, it's simply like a barcode, only we know instantaneously where and when that dose has been used. That also helps public health officials know when there are outbreaks, have we vaccinated enough people in those areas? That technology is purely optional, however, and the US government hasn't even decided if they're going to use it.
All right, now he said it's completely optional, right? And he said they still don't know if the government even going to use it. Now, this video is about 8 months old, right? I haven't heard nothing else about the chips. Like, the doses are ready. They got doses ready to go. But they ain't say nothing about the chips. So I don't know if they did do it or didn't do it. I don't know. I'm not going to say they did. I'm not going to say they didn't. Because they didn't say they did, or they didn't say they didn't.
How quickly can you manufacture the vaccines, and what's your long-term goal?
Well, we don't make vaccines, Lori. Drug companies make the vaccines. They then ship them to us for the packaging. So our long-term goal is to make sure that no matter what vaccine wins or what vaccines and what therapeutics are available, America can fill and finish in these pre-filled syringes as many of the drugs as we need for U.S. citizens and eventually to have excess that we can export worldwide. Our goal is to make sure that on American soil, we have everything we need to protect America.
When do you think you might start filling these with the vaccine?
Well, the president has said that that vaccine will be ready this year.
By the way, this girl that's interviewing him, this lady that's interviewing him, is a terrible actor. Just watch her face expressions.
When do you think you might start filling these with the vaccine?
Like, why do you look so panicked right there? Like, just answer the question normally. You trying to act so hard, you stuttering. I'm sorry. I apologize, y'all. I'm just saying.
Everything we need to protect America.
When do you think you might start filling these with the vaccine?
Well, the president has said that that vaccine will be ready this year. So if that vaccine shows up at our door, we're going to be ready to fill it as soon as it does.
Well, it's a fascinating new technology. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it. Jay Walker, CEO of AppyJect, thanks for being here. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
That's it, man. I told you I was going to put these videos in here, so I had to do it. Let me know what y'all think. I'm telling y'all, this future about to get real spooky. Now, you're either going to be with it or you're not. And I'm not with it. I'm not, and don't count me out, buddy. No. But yeah, comment below. Like, share. Let me know what y'all think about this.